Let us begin the conversation.
Hello, thank you for being here with us today. Can you please explain the shift of consciousness that occurs when the energy of spirit connects with one's awareness?
Fundamental truth is you are the energy of spirit. You are simply not aware of your own power. The human mind has a tendency to divide all things, and that is what has created this model of separation. When you, at your human level, become aware that you are more than the physical body that you inhabit, that physical body which is managed by the human brain, the capacities of the human mind, that is when your awareness expands. Consciousness then becomes more of what it intrinsically is, and that is pure being. The illusion of separation disappears, and you are left with the truth of that which you are, your spirit manifesting itself in physical form. Notice we did not say human form before. Consciousness indeed inhabits more than simply human form. And as your awareness of who you are grows, your consciousness then expands to the point, hopefully, that you will be able to transcend your human experience while also being a part of it. That is our response.
Thank you. Can you talk about the shift or transformation in the consciousness that allows one to begin to physically visualize energy?
That mechanically has to do more with the physical makeup of the individual. Not all human vessels are equipped with the capacity to physically see energy, just in the same way that many physical vessels have different levels of capability with all of the senses. So again, it's a matter of being aware of what one is aware of and allowing that to register in your human mind, which is prone to creating patterns. It tends to replace things that actually are in the environment with things it's observed before in order to operate more efficiently. It is almost as if the brain does not require that information to be freely submitted each time something is witnessed, and oftentimes the brain will replace what is actually there with a replica or a pattern of what it's observed before in order to conserve energy. So number one, if you are aware that your brain has the propensity to operate in this way, mindfully making yourself aware of what it is you are perceiving with your physical eyes, what you are looking at, will help to strengthen the capacity to see with the physical eyes the energy that is around you all the time. It is a matter of filtering that is the issue, if you want to call it that, is the issue when it comes to being able to see energy physically.
Thank you. Can you address the profound energy of surrender and how, when one embraces this energy, it helps liberate the soul?
The act of surrender, in order to be effective, happens at the level of the human consciousness. The soul is already surrendered to what it is and its purpose. It is the human aspect of being that contains the rebellious nature that wishes to put its mark on the experience, so to speak. Surrender is easy to say and yet so difficult to do, and comes in degrees. One may think one is completely surrendered and later discover that no, there was still more. There was still more that could have been done to allow for a complete acquiescence to the guiding power of the soul's energy to maneuver the physical aspect of being as it moves in the world. Surrender requires trust, and that is where most humans have their greatest difficulty, even in and including the ability to trust one's own self. That is why it is so difficult for so many of you to surrender completely to your higher aspect, your greater wisdom. You judge yourselves, you doubt yourselves, and in some cases, you may even fear what that complete surrender might bring your way, and continuously hold a desire to be in control of a situation that in reality you have no control over. And so, as you set your feet on the path of surrender, be gentle with yourself. Observe how it feels when you are in the process of letting go. And know that when you find resistance, that's where some work is still to be done. And always be mindful that you are surrendering only to the light of your own soul, to the wisdom of your own being, which in effect is surrendering to the higher will of all that is, and is also that which created you. So what is there to fear? Nothing. Again, it is primarily a lack of trust that prevents the human aspect from complete and total surrender.
Yes. Thank you. Can you dismantle the mystery of manifestation and explain how one can shift their energies to match their desires?
We agree with you that bringing oneself into energetic alignment with what one desires to have happen, and we would also say being clear about what it is we intend to create, is a critical factor in the process itself. However, to be able to say to you, it is exactly this and then this that must occur, understand that creation itself is still in the process of educating itself on how creation works. It is a process of intention and desire and self-awareness as to whether one is authentically aligned with what it is one chooses to manifest or not. Sometimes we may say we want something at the surface, but if we are mindful of how that feels in our physical beingness, we may find some tightness or resistance in the body itself, which is a clear indication that we are not perfectly aligned with what it is we say we wish to create. Therefore, there is some level of work that is yet to be done to clear whatever it is that is standing in our way of achieving this alignment, the vibrational attunement that will allow for that desire, whatever that is, to manifest. Keeping our intention focused on what it is we wish to experience in our life is also a critical component. That is what we understand are the main points in the process of creation as we understand it at this time.
Thank you. Can you provide examples of tools that help one shift their energetic vibration so that the soul reaches its highest expression?
One of the most important tools would be to always remain cognizant of the vibrational field or soup in which you are placing your physical vehicle. So this one has said something similar to what we are going to say in the past. Be mindful of your use of technology. Be mindful of what it is you take into your vibrational field via music, images, sounds, the people that are around you. Personal management of your personal energy field is a critical component here. Is it necessary for you to withdraw from the world? No. But when you are out in the world, be mindful that you're carrying some of that back with you. See your home or where it is that you rest as a place of sanctuary. Keep that as vibrationally clean as you can, and make sure that you consciously clear whatever garbage or lower vibrations you may have picked up when you were out in the world before you move back into your sanctuary space. All of these things, energy field maintenance, would be critical in opening a passageway for more of the soul to ground itself in the physical body. Also, stating one's desire to have that experience makes a difference as well. Inviting aspects of your soul into the physical vehicle is also helpful. We do not need to speak to you about the things you put into your body as far as the food you eat. It's all vibration. Same thing with the clothing that you wear. For the most part, it is not helpful to wear synthetic fabric on your body. Synthetic materials of any sort bring your vibration down, and yet it is extremely difficult to find natural fibers readily available, including your shoes and undergarments in the world today. So we do understand. However, all of these things make a difference. So then it comes down to what are you willing and or able to do in order to support the energy field, the basic energy field of the physical body. And yes, all of those other things, sitting quietly and meditating and connecting with the light of your soul, all of those things also are also of importance, relatively speaking. But the primary thing is monitoring of one's own energy field and being judicious about what vibrations one allows in, monitoring your emotional state, dealing with those vibrational disturbances that come from lower emotions, dealing with them sooner rather than later also are beneficial to your overall well-being and ability to anchor in more of the frequencies of your soul.
Thank you. What happens when the soul chooses to embrace the energy of courage?
It would be the human aspect that would make a difference when embracing the energy of courage. The soul does not need to embrace the energy of that which it already is. And we would say it's not even a matter of being totally fearless. It's a matter of feeling the trepidation and moving forward anyway, trusting in the light of your own soul to guide you. That is courage. And it would, in answer to the exact question, then allow for more of the soul to be present in the physical and auric field of the human aspect.
Thank you. What is responsible choice, and how can it ultimately lead to experiencing authentic power?
We are given choices moment by moment every day, and we sometimes do have a good response ability, a good ability to respond, and sometimes we lack in our capacity to respond. In other words, no ability to respond. So, responsible choice, in our view, would be the capacity to respond appropriately in the moment the choice is given in a positive and active way, as opposed to perhaps choosing not to move in that direction at the time. Every human has within them the capacity to follow the ultimate flow of the energy that is being broadcast by the soul. Capacity to do that lies solely in the human vessel's ability to discern that flow and move with it, adjusting the response as one goes moment by moment. This may sound easy, however, it is rather difficult for most humans to accomplish this, because the human mind has a way of, again, with that natural propensity to create patterns, it will also create patterned responses to any given situation. Instead of allowing each moment to rise fresh and anew in awareness, it will respond according to the most similar energy pattern it has in its data bank. So for most humans, responsible choice boils down to, what did I do the last time in this similar situation? It's an automatic thing, as opposed to pausing a moment and taking a moment to be consciously aware of how this choice, as it presents itself to me, how does it feel to me if I respond in this way or that way? That would be, in your words, responsible choice. In other words, every time we're presented with a choice, we stop ourselves and assess fresh what it is we are being faced with, what it is we are being asked to do. That then would be actual responsible choice.
And once we're able to make that responsible choice, then that will lead to that experience of authentic power then?
The capacity to be able to choose consciously in every situation that is presented to us, yes, that capacity is an expression of authentic power, as opposed to a reflex or instinctual response or a patterned response to the situation.
Thank you. How can one transmute pain into power and convert suffering to service?
Pain and suffering are, by and large, byproducts of the human experience. Being aware and understanding fully that being human is going to include the experience of pain and suffering is a good first step in being able to transform these experiences into something that leads to spiritual growth, which is ultimately the point here. Pain in and of itself does not bring one power. It is one's ability to respond in an appropriate way to the pain that leads to the expression of power. It is not by denying the fact that we are in pain or that we are suffering that we are able to rise above it. It is actually through allowing ourselves to have the experience of the entire depth and breadth of our pain and suffering that leads to the power and the freedom that comes after we have moved through those vibrations. For indeed, if they stay stuck in our energy field, that holds us down. It impedes our progress as souls. So rather than denying that which is a part of the human experience, understanding that at some point in our lives we are all going to experience pain and suffering, and then knowing that the only way through the experience is by allowing ourselves to feel that and move that energy through our field, knowing that as we do, it is a form of cleansing, and that is what allows us then to make progress as a soul. Oftentimes, we cannot do this work alone. We must have the courage to ask for help and then do whatever work is necessary to bring about that change.
Thank you. Gandhi once said, "Birth and death are not two different states, but they are different aspects of the same state." Can you elaborate on that, please?
He was correct. When a soul is birthed into this material world, it is the exact same process as when the soul is birthed back into its origins, place of origin. It is a passing of awareness from one state of consciousness to another. It is transitional in nature and therefore is very ethereal, and yet that which transpires in between the act of birth and death is what we call living. There could be a whole other discussion on whether or not that is true. But when, as a soul, you leave your home to come into this world, and then as a soul you leave this world to return home, it is two sides of the same coin. So in that respect, he is correct. It is the same state of being that we enter into to make that transition, both when we enter into this world and when we leave it. There is a process of disconnection that of necessity must take place at either end of this thing called life. The process is the same. We must disconnect from aspects of our infinite self in order to be born into a world of limitation. And we must disconnect ourselves from those self-imposed limitations when we prepare to return to our natural state of being.
So you mentioned returning home to our natural state of being. So if we come from non-physical reality and will return to non-physical reality, and the larger part of us resides in and involves in non-physical reality, could non-physical reality be perceived as home, as you discussed?
Yes, that is correct. We are not by our natures physical beings.
Thank you. Can you explain the symbiotic relationship of all living things, and does this awareness change the trajectory of our journey?
We would state it this way most simply. The web of creation is indeed the web of creation. And whether the human aspect of creation is consciously aware that it is a part of that web, that does not change the intrinsic fact that it is all connected. Whether one is consciously or unconsciously having their impact on all of creation, it is happening nonetheless. If one is aware of this symbiotic relationship, that conceivably can change the trajectory of things, because now an individual is moving in a more conscious way, making more responsible choices perhaps along the way, knowing that every choice, no matter how small, impacts the entire web of creation itself. So yes, awareness can lead to a change in trajectory because it leads to more conscious choices being made.
Thank you. What happens when one evolves the 5-sensory personality into the multi-sensory personality?
In general, what would happen is the person would move through the world with more awareness of what is actually happening. Individually, that would depend on each person and their soul makeup, their soul journey, their soul's experiences. However, if more people were functioning in multi-sensory, i.e., multi-dimensional ways, as they move through their 3D reality, there would be an increase in synchronicity, which means the operation of this creation would be more efficient, there would be less resistance, and there would be more what you would call ultimately positive outcomes in the world at large. There would be less friction. The hope is that someday humanity will function as a collective in that way. That is not what is perceived or projected at this moment in time. However, the hope is always there that one by one you will be able to learn to live your lives differently, and that will become the societal norm as opposed to continued propagation of the limited perspective that is currently in charge or in play in this world.
Thank you. So I want to thank you for your time today. Are there any other pearls of wisdom you would like to share at this time?
In the coming days, you may feel distraught, you may experience upset. We encourage you to hold fast to the understanding that no matter what transpires, in the end, all will be well. It is not necessary to shield yourself from what is to come. Wherever you are in that moment is exactly where you will need to be. Give your highest response when presented with a choice, and know that in and of itself is the best you can do in any given moment. The birthing process is often messy, and this world is attempting to birth a new consciousness. It will not always be easy, but you would not have come into this world at this time if you did not believe you could make a difference. So we say to you, have courage, know that the hosts of heaven stand with you. We thank you for your attention and your time this day. These are our words.
Thank you.